IGN got the bag, yay! But in Sega's defense, they want to push this game hard, so they'll give it to a bigger publication. They can't just simply show it on their smaller YouTube channel, especially with a game as big as this. No, but seriously. Finally, after years and years of waiting, we finally have some gameplay, and I don't feel anything. Look. This is what getting hurt by a previous game does to you, especially when they're just refusing to show anything. But regardless, let's talk about it, shall we? Now, before I begin, I have to say that this is purely what I think, and that this is by no means an attack on you, the viewers, as people. This will apply for any criticism I have on the game so far, so if you personally think that you can't handle what I'm about to say, I'm sorry you feel that way, but please click off the video. I don't want you to be mad, or sad, or me to change your opinion, okay? I'm just stating what I think of this game so far. Thank you. Okay, so first off, idle animations are back. Finally! Now we finally have a living creature in front of us and not some demon just staring at us and just breathing down our necks. So yeah, immediately getting hit with that made me feel so happy that it maybe wouldn't be so bad. We'll see. So along with speaking about the idle animations, let's talk about the animation in general. It's very inconsistent. Like, sometimes Sonic looks surprisingly animated and fluid, and it looks really nice. But then you get stuff like the falling animation. He didn't animate at all. He just stood there like, oh my god, Superman pose, woo! It definitely looks very work in progress, which worries me since there's not that much time left. They have to polish things up for the release in November. Now this is a little bit of a speculation territory, but there seems to be maybe like a shop or something of the sort, because Sonic collects not only rings, but also these purple coins, which, if you haven't guessed already, remind me of Super Mario Odyssey. So maybe it's exactly like that game, where each island in the game has its own purple coin, and the rings act like as a consistent currency across all islands, and then the purple coins are specifically for that island. And using those purple coins can unlock things in those shops, like extra lives or cosmetics or things offered in the shops of Unleashed, if I had to set an example, to where you can buy items that'll level you up if there's a leveling up system in the game, considering that there was combat in the teaser of the gameplay. By the way, can we all agree that it's stupid that there's a teaser of gameplay from a game that only had teasers up to this point? Now, it is something that the whole gaming industry does as a whole, not just Sega, but I digress. It's still bad. Now, jumping straight into the obvious, Sonic can apparently climb now. I assume it's only for the wall shown here, where it's almost comically labeled as, "You can climb and run on these." But yeah, I don't really know if this mechanic serves a purpose like outside of those specific events, like if Sonic runs out of stamina or something, or that he just gets tired from running and he just has to resort to climbing. Guess those comparisons to Breath of the Wild weren't really far off, huh? Something I think I immediately noticed were the controls and the whole general feel of the game. While it does look really fun to run around the world, the way it looks really makes it seem like they use the controls or the foundation of Sonic Force and are forcing them to make it work in a 3D space. What I mean by this is that in Forces, it was really easy to suddenly pick up speed, like almost immediately, and it wouldn't be a gradual wind up or anything, but he will legit just start bolting after a few seconds. Well, here it looks like they managed to fix that, because he looks like he can turn semi-naturally instead of it feeling like you're locked into running forward no matter what. But I don't know, it still looks weird. It doesn't look quite right, and I can't put my finger on it right now. If you had something like a hands-on demo, like for us, the content creators, the players, to really play this game, I think it would be easier to explain this point, but here we are. Gotta deal with the cards that I'm dealt with. But if I had to try and say, it looks like they're trying to make him feel like a regular 3D platformer, making his controls looser, and actually making it possible for him to make a 360 loop without it looking or feeling really hard. But it still looks like they're working on this aspect of the game specifically. On that note, the boost seems to be back in a nerfed fashion. Either that or the IGN employee really sucks at playing the game, which, to be fair, they always do.
Jump button can be fatally unresponsive at times, and it's just a lot of trial and error gameplay that can get a little bit repetitive after a while.
but it could also be the possibility that it was a SEGA employee doing this. So either way, that's still bad because they made the game look not good. So assuming that it's not the IGN soy boy playing the game wrong or the SEGA employee, the boost seems to be working on a chunk basis, similar to how Sonic Unleashed Wii did it, but I like to think that it was not that, because later in the video, they actually maintained the boost for more than like 30 seconds, and that just leads me to believe that it's normal, but just nerfed, because it doesn't look anywhere near as fast as it used to be. Another really obvious thing that I'm pretty sure you've noticed at this point, if you look up in the sky, you can see that it's filled with rails and springs that are just floating there. Now, some of you may counter that platformers, especially Sonic in the past, have had floating means of traversal. Now, I do agree with that. I mean, how can I not? It's literally, like, some of these are literally just floating. But what I'm going to counter with is that some games manage to make it look convincing and a natural part of the world or stage. If we take a look at Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, that's like an excellent example on how you can blend stage obstacles or objects with the vibe of the stage and not clash with it. Even in Frontiers, they went so far as to redo the textures for the rails, the springs, and even the rainbow ring. They all have this like alien sort of techie texture to make it look like it's part of this world. So they clearly are trying to make it seem like it's naturally a part of the island. And they do succeed with a couple of examples, like this rail right next to the tower, and a few of the rails and springs at the tower itself, where it's just a part of the natural incline of it. But then you just have countless others that are just floating there with no rhyme or reason, especially the boxes and just random platforms scattered about. They want to make me believe that they're just magically floating there. Meanwhile, it just clashes with the other examples which look implemented way better. A way I thought they could mask this is by using some sort of switch that Sonic activates that would make them appear either temporarily or just appear. If they want to go further, they can have rails attached to either the ground, like roller coasters and bridges have support on the ground for, or just stuck to nearby cliffs and towers. They even already did one of these with this example right here. The puzzle made these appear, so I assume that they're going to be handling it this way, thus explaining the sudden floating objects in the sky. Regardless, it still feels very jarring, and honestly, it just looks like they were just placed there because they needed to fill up the world with stuff to do. It concerns me especially because this was a major problem with Sonic Colors and Forces, where they thought that putting a bunch of black boxes would make a great level, and it just, no, it doesn't look right, and it just feels lazy. On top of them already reusing a level from before, to not have to put in the effort to make a completely original one. This is something they should avoid. Not only is it just boring, it completely wastes the potential to make really great puzzles and obstacles that Sonic can use his abilities with. This leads me into the puzzles. The side activities in the world just look bland. Like, there's this one that looks and feels like a Sonic side activity, and we'll test his speed by just having him run in a hamster wheel to charge it up, but the rest look lifted from other games. Like, the Switch one looks directly taken from Rise of Lyric, and I'm not even joking with that one. Like, that's not fun, guys. That's just too simple and generic. Like, really put our skills to the test with something that uses Sonic's abilities to complete the side mission. Something to test our abilities to take advantage of what we've learned so far in the game. That's how I feel it should be done, and I feel like it's way more engaging design. I'm going to lump these three together since I really don't know where to put them. So we finally got to see what the spin cycle looks like in action, and it's basically like a wind attack. Assuming we can't upgrade it to do other actions, which would be dope if we are, and would make it much more useful than just for combat and puzzles. The trick system is back, but either IGN sucks at tricks or it's just really unfinished and jank that you can't even do any other. At that point, why bring it back? It does nothing. Again, this is just assuming that it just does this one move. We don't even see if it fills the boost gauge like before because no HUD. That's also another thing too. Why show the game like this and not the HUD? Or if there'll be like waypoints and stuff, that just feels like a missed opportunity to clarify how navigation is going to work in the game. You were showing off exploration in this video, but yet you chose not to show the navigation and how that works. That's just kind of suspicious. Like, why hide that? Okay, this is the last one. What happened to the music? The one that they used in the trailer trailer sounded so good and would help elevate the scope of what we're seeing. Like, it feels like they self-sabotaged in a way, especially since they're holding so much back. It's generally concerning. That was a giant missed opportunity there to show off how the music has changed and would reflect in this new environment. It's such a shame, and I'm not even kidding. I really like that piece. It's calming, but it's also suspenseful. Like, if you were racing to get somewhere but the stakes are really high. There's also this pinch of despair and wonder. Like, we're navigating this forgotten realm, looking for a way to save our friends, and we have no clue on how, and yet there's this looming threat to our existence over the horizon. Like, you see? It sounds dope, and yet they didn't use it. I'm so let down. This game just looks so unpolished. It's astounding. They had 5 years to make this game, and yet here we are. And to be honest, it deserves all the criticism it's getting. Now, people may say that, oh, this is an early build. Wait until release. We have months for it to come out. First, this could be an early build, but EA did a similar stunt, assuming that the early build speculation is true, with Battlefield 2042. And look how that turned out. That was the finished game, and they only had a few weeks to improve it, which means they had nothing at all. It was already done and over. Hell, we don't even need to look at another company for this. Sonic Forces. They gave us this E3 build in 2017. And what do you know? It had the exact same amount of time they have now to finish it. And how did it end up? The exact same. Nothing changed. This doesn't feel AAA. It feels like they're squeezing the tight-ass development budget and making another $40 game with it. So the blame absolutely falls on the heads of SEGA, the board of investors, and Haruki Satomi, the CEO of SEGA. They needed to give this game more budget and more time. Something you said it to be doing. So prove it. The exact same mistakes that happened with Forces are happening again. The giant gaps of silence, the 30 seconds of gameplay, barely marketing the game, worrying level design, it's all here, and I'm tired of seeing it happen again. Now, I'm not saying that the game has no potential at all. It absolutely does. It has the building blocks for something. Now, will they take advantage of the potential? That's what we have to see, because even with 7 minutes of gameplay, we still have no idea on how this game really is and what it's about. Somehow they made 7 minutes of gameplay not explain anything, but yet show at the same time. It's so weird. And I'm sorry, but the game being pretty isn't going to save it. I'm still hoping they prove us wrong, but my gut feeling is telling me otherwise, and it's just sad. Okay, part 2.
Sonic is up against an all-new set of baddies, some of which are among the most massive bosses we've ever seen in a Sonic game.
IGN, addressing you guys specifically. Sonic has fought a literal god before. More than once, actually. And we have Dark Gaia, so yeah, that counts. Come on, guys. He's fought bigger stuff. Sonic has a color palette change. Before in Forces, specifically, he had a lighter shade of blue that more resembled classic Sonic. To be honest, all of them did, so, you know, even though we already had a classic Sonic in the game. Regardless, I like his new palette. It's a very nice shade of blue. Double D, double die. Also, a quick mention to Sonic's quills. I know this seems a little bit weird, but stay with me. Apparently, they are no longer, even though I think it's still a camera trick or an illusion. But if they are, hey, finally, it's about time. Back to where they needed to be. Good. This next one isn't necessarily small, but it's not. I thought this would be a good thing to talk about at the beginning of the video, especially. The reused assets argument / discourse. I really don't know why this is a thing that's being argued about. Like, I can get behind the model is lame and maybe needs some changes, but the assets in general? Nah, sorry, it's just dumb. It really is. Not only does Sonic Team do this with almost all of their games to an extent, but the entire gaming industry as a whole does the same. It's a way for teams to save precious time and resources, especially when they're stuck to deadlines / and/or budgets. It's just common knowledge, and I bet that when most of you play the game, you won't even notice that it's from a past game. So just calm down, please. Doing everything from scratch would just be impractical and just a waste of so much of everything for something that most people won't even notice to begin with. The model, yes, you will be looking at Sonic all the time, but stuff like bridges and other stuff like that, nah. Okay, now we get to the juicy stuff. This was a way better showcase. It actually demonstrated a bunch of combat scenarios and moves that Sonic will use, and was just overall more focused. I honestly didn't feel lost during the entire thing. Confused though? kinda. I do believe that if they narrated all of these showcases, that it would have been so much easier for people to appreciate the different moves, setups, and enemies, or just how fun and exciting it could be, and just not be lost. Kind of like what Nintendo does with their overview trailers, where they go over different mechanics, worlds, and all that jazz. Something like that, you know? It doesn't have to be super complicated. On the subject of enemies, the variety is pretty dope, not gonna lie. You have generic baddies, heavy armored ones, and ones with an extra step to stop them. Now, I will say that I like the variety, but most, if not all of them, look brain dead, sadly. They throw out a few attacks, but aren't really going after you. The only reason why they attack the guy playing is because they keep letting them, like as in playing badly. If it was any of us playing, we'd wail on these guys way faster than you could say enchilada. This also extends to the Titans. They stomp you when you're nearby, but once they do, they're basically open. They don't try to flank you with bullets or something, just leave themselves open so Sonic can finish them off. Now, there is a slight change towards the end of the boss battle because it does add these red rings where Sonic gets pushed back if he hits some of them, but that's about it. If I could ask for anything, at least make the Titans smarter, like AI-wise, and have them defend themselves, like their lives depended on it. Don't just make them about size. Have them seem more threatening too, so it matches the scale, like how Unleashed handled it. The larger bosses felt large and had impactful attacks, and you could see and feel it. They wouldn't just sit there and wait for Sonic to defeat them. They would constantly fight back and make it a challenge. You know, kind of like if they felt threatened and their existence was in danger because of us. Hell, even in the past, enemies had better AI. If you just stood there in front of them, they would absolutely beat the crap out of you. Not just standing there for decoration's sake. They wouldn't even follow you if you were in range. So why is it that 11 to 13 years later, the enemies went from that to this? The Motorbug didn't go out of commission for this, man. I had to go back to the animations, but like, really? I am really starting to believe that there must be two builds that they're showing off. One observation I made that would kind of support this is the two shots IGN has at the beginning of the videos, and this one right here of the Titan. These two look slightly different enough to where you can kind of maybe tell that it's a different build, but then there's just this wonderful cut they do at the Titan boss where it changes to sunset, and it even has Sonic's Japanese VA instead of Roger from the beginning of the video. A small observation again. I can't personally make that call, so it's up to you personally. Okay, quick correction. Apparently I can make this call. IGN has now confirmed that these are indeed two different builds. Which now begs the question, why would you guys use the older build and make the game look worse than it is? I am legitimately confused. It's like having two versions of an essay, one that's missing the final chunk of it and one that's complete, and giving the teacher the unfinished one. Like, come on guys. But going back to the animations, I know I've said this a lot, especially about the animations and many other people too, but a lot of them do just feel wrong and just off. Like, you get the idea of what they're going for, but in execution it just doesn't connect. Like here, the very first fight, it doesn't feel like Sonic is fighting a robot. It just feels like two models just crashing into each other. Or if I had to illustrate it, a child mashing two toys together. And don't get me wrong, I like the concept of the animations. Like, I can see what they're going for, and they look cool when I think about it that way. Especially the one where Sonic goes backwards and then proceeds to boost into the enemy. Like, that one was dope. And even the one where he does a flurry of kicks, and it kind of reminds me of... But while it is cool, why is it that for the boost one, they just teleport him going back and then attacking instead of him being shown going backwards and then attack? It just looks like he's teleporting, and it just looks really dumb. And it makes me not appreciate the coolness of the attack as I would normally. It just simply needs polish, that's all. It just needs these few important frames to make it more smooth, and we're golden. Something I also want to point out is the music and Roger's performance as Sonic. Remember how in part 1 I talked about how the music didn't really match the visuals and how it would have been a great opportunity to hear it? Well, they did it again. This time they used the exact one from the teaser of the gameplay and used it for the combat gameplay. Like, what? Bro, this doesn't even match what the feel of the video is going for. It would have been great for the exploration video before, like I said in part 1. This video needed something that emphasized the combat and action that was being shown in order to get people excited for it. As much as people meme on the battle theme of the werehog, that at least gets you pumped up for the battle and makes you immediately alert that you have to get ready to fight. While here, I can fall asleep and still do just fine. It just feels too somber for this type of gameplay. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, anything, but it just needs something to spice it up. Now, I'm not saying like jazz it up or anything like the Werehog theme. You can still match the vibes that the game is going for. Just increase the tempo a bit and maybe add a little subtle guitar or something to pump up the action. Then as soon as it's over, have it transition back to the regular music. Now, something that might change my opinion on this would be if Sonic, or we as a player, have a connection to these enemies in some way, making it personal. Then it would maybe kind of make sense. Also, Roger be popping off, dude. Normally, I would cringe when I hear him as modern Sonic, but this feels like more natural grunts and stuff. Like, I really like it so far. I hope that the cutscenes are just as good too. And this is the last thing I'll bring up for the video. There does seem to be EXP in the game, because he collects shards from his defeated enemies, but it could also just be used for upgrading the spin cycle, or just abilities overall, or just replenishing the cycle itself, like how you would replenish the boost by collecting rings and defeating enemies in previous games. But criticism aside, this was a way better showcase, since they actually focused on something instead of aimlessly doing stuff around the open world. I still believe that these showcases would have been leagues better if they had something to properly showcase instead of showing a little bit of each. Something like, and this is how you will be moving around the new open world. Sonic has the returning boost and a new navigation system. Not only that, he has a brand new in-depth combat system that we can't wait for you to see and check out. Like, see? Something like that. This way they guide us through what they want us to see, and not only that, we aren't lost as to what we're seeing, and they can still stay within that 7-minute deadline that they set. Short and concise, basically. It would have been a win-win, but maybe for next time. Or maybe since IGN is doing a hands-on preview, maybe they can shed more light onto things. We'll see though. I just hope that SEGA learns that they need to properly show off their games and not rely on people guessing on what's going on in the world. Like, I get that they want to be cryptic and have mystery to it. Like, I totally get that. And they can still totally do that with somebody narrating over it. Just have it focused on things and not the story or anything like that. Just stay general. Other companies do these things all the time. And please, no offense to the person playing, but they need to have somebody that actually knows how to properly control Sonic in this game. I get that you want to show off getting damaged and all that stuff, but when it comes to showing off the potential that the movement / combat has, it just doesn't look exciting or fun, at least to me. It just looks like I'm gonna have a frustrating time and fight with the controls all the time. And I really don't think that's the case, but that's what I'm getting from these videos. So please, get somebody that can actually make this game look good in any way at this point. I think that another way SEGA can properly get feedback from people like me or just the general public is to release a demo of some kind. It doesn't need to stay up, it could just be for a limited time or something like that, but at least enough time to send feedback to SEGA or the teams at SEGA, and we could see how it properly plays and it looks, because it could be completely different from what we're getting right now. Who really knows? But since this is all we got, then this is all I can base my thoughts on, and other people too. That would be awesome, having a direct line, in a way of course, of communication between us and them, and how they could potentially fix some of the issues we may encounter that they wouldn't have known otherwise. So it's definitely a benefit for them to release a demo. So it's definitely something to consider, SEGA. Demos do have a point, but yeah. Okay, hello. Welcome. I decided to do something a little bit differently for part 3, since it's a hands-on. There needs to be a lot of the voices of, you know, the IGN employee or the IGN journalist, so I decided to do it this way. Plus, I think it would be easier for me to edit than writing a script, than editing and all this stuff. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Hopefully it won't be so bad. I'll try not to include the entire video, just the parts that I think are important. So yeah, let's see. I haven't seen the video actually, so yeah, let's do this.
It's the change.
I like how there's a work in progress gameplay build now. They have to specify.
Be one of the first people outside of Sonic Team to go hands-on with Sonic Frontiers. And let me just say, if you're worried about how the blue blur will fare in this unfamiliar genre, well, I think Crush 40 probably put it best. Open your heart. It's gonna be all.
Okay, that's kind of reassuring to hear. I don't know. I don't really take IGN at their word because, you know, their track history. I shouldn't need to repeat it again. But it does reassure me because knowing that somebody else other than Sonic Team has their hands on this kind of reassures me and puts me at ease, considering, you know, what happened with Forces. Nobody got their hands on it until, like, I'd say close to the launch and E3, and yeah, it wasn't necessarily the most positive thing. Even at E3, people were pointing out how this felt weird to control and all this stuff. And I'm glad there was an E3 demo because people got to see what this game was truly about. And, you know, the Forces, I mean. I just hope it doesn't happen again. Like, I would like a demo, but I don't know what the possibility of that is. That would be fantastic, like I said in the video for this one, but that's up to SEGA, and I hope they can do it. I guess we're just gonna have to wait for more videos to come out or more hands-on impressions. There's also this really weird scheduling thing that they're doing with Summer Games Fest and all this stuff. Like, the IGN video got pushed back to tomorrow, which I don't know when this will come out, but it will already been out already. Also, Geoff Keighley also said that there was going to be something at Summer Games Fest related to Sonic. Like, they even implied it pretty heavily. That's why people saw the Summer Games Fest live stream. I even saw it. And I came in with no expectations, and I still came out really disappointed. So I really don't know what they're doing with the marketing thing, or it just, communication in general has just been really bad. They haven't explained absolutely anything, and we're completely lost as to like who's showing what and all this stuff. The only people that are consistently throwing out gameplay stuff and explaining things seems to be IGN, because apparently in this video they actually talk about what the gameplay feels like and all this stuff. So yeah, we'll see.
The first thing that struck me about Sonic Frontiers was how uniquely somber and serene it was right from the outset. After flying into a wormhole with Tails and Amy, Sonic finds himself separated from his friends and all alone on an isolated island, with nothing.
See, I actually heard about this on Twitter. Like, I actually saw the excerpt. That's pretty neat. Like, they already have him, like, experiencing the story, and they can talk about it, apparently. That's pretty cool. That also kind of leads me to believe that this world isn't real, because if it's a wormhole, that's also a possibility that this either is in another dimension or something, or that they're doing like a virtual reality thing. They kind of tried doing that with Forces, but it wasn't really explained very well, so I don't know what's gonna happen here. The story does seem to be promising because of Knuckles and the Sonic Central live stream. Like, they showed Knuckles like attending the Master Emerald on Angel Island, so that was really neat to see again, especially since Knuckles has been rejecting his duty for like years at this point. He even walked off and went to be a war general in Forces. So yeah, that's kind of refreshing to see it them doing their thing again. So hopefully that'll reflect across the story, like everybody is them again, like I've wanted for like I think everybody would have liked Sonic and everybody to be themselves, basically. But yeah, another thing that he also mentioned was the emptiness and like mysterious nature of the open world. Like, it just feels like isolated. It almost feels eerie in a way, is what I'm getting from what he said, and that's kind of what I picked up on it too, because the world seems to be inhabited by enemies only and a couple animals, and like the way the music is working, it just feels weird. Like, you're not supposed to be there, but you're stuck there now. I don't know how to describe the feeling, but it's like you said, mysterious, and there's just this vibe to it to where you just can't, I don't know. I'm trying to explain it, but yeah, that's the best I can do.
Nothing but an AI voice guiding him to collect the Chaos Emerald.
Oh, this could be the Ghost Girl that came out in the first leak of when the game was called Sonic Rangers still, but that would mean that like it was literally a Ghost Girl. It wasn't even the Ghost Girl from Sonic Unleashed. It was just a Ghost Girl, and we now know that it's an AI, so it leans more credence to like, oh, by the way, I forgot to explain this before, but the reason why I think like it's virtual is because like the geometry and the architecture like all over the world just feels like this hecky alien thing. It doesn't look like somebody constructed it. It looks like an AI constructed it, and it's taken physical form. Like, if you look like even here, like, look, this looks like nature mixed with technology. It doesn't feel like somebody made this. It feels like a computer made this. And you can see that like all across the world, like even to Sonic's spin cycle. It feels like technology. And even like they even do like beeps and boops like a computer would, or like alien technology would, or sci-fi technology, I mean to say. This is turning out interesting. I kind of want to see what the story does. I'm really interested in what the story does, since the gameplay, you know how it turned out. But yeah, I think most people are on that boat at this point, because what else is there to see? Because the world is kind of there and the gameplay, yeah, I already explained why, but damn, I am just praying that the story is good, because Ian Flynn's there. Please. Please.
There's no one for Sonic to bounce quips off of, no energetic Crush 40 soundtrack, just wide open fields as far as the eye can see. There's an air of mystery in Sonic Frontiers.
See,
and
told
it's
you.
a vibe that's driven home even further by the beautiful yet minimalist piano melodies that accompany Sonic as he explores the island.
Now, I like to expand on that. Like, I do like those types of melodies, like where it's just very minimalist. Otherwise, I wouldn't even like Breath of the Wild soundtrack. But I do. It works in certain scenarios. But when it comes to combat, I feel like I think it needs to actually pick up a little bit so it gets energized. I don't know. It could just be the early build, like they said, but I don't know, maybe it's in the cyberspace levels. I don't know at this point, but I do like that. I do like that the world feels like mysterious, and that it's like encouraging you to explore it in a way by making it feel mysterious. Like, ooh, what's over there? Ooh, what's over there? Like, just go and do it. So they're kind of taking notes from Breath of the Wild in that sort of sense, but I'm concerned about the rest though. Oh, they're actually showing it. Okay. See, I like this. It's nice.
All of this is a very intentional choice. I asked Sonic Team head Takashi Iizuka to describe how the tone of Sonic Frontiers differs from previous Sonic games, and he said, past games in the Sonic series have taken different tones depending on their stories and themes. This time, these mysterious islands are the game's major setting.
Now, I saw some people confused about the islands. Like, they thought this would be the only island, and I thought Aaron Weber made it very clear, or the marketing beforehand, like when they first revealed it, like fully at the Game Awards, they had the website up, and then it said like the mysterious, like, let me see if I can pull up Steam real quick. Like, if you see here, worlds will collide in Sonic the Hedgehog's newest adventure. An experience like never before. Accelerate to new heights and experience the thrill of high-velocity open-zoned freedom. Battle powerful enemies as you speed through Speedfall Islands. Islands plural. Landscapes brimming with dense forests, overflowing waterfalls, sizzling deserts, and more. Like, I thought that was pretty obvious when it was first announced, like, or when it was first listed on Steam. Like, I even noticed that, and I thought everybody had that in mind, but I guess it's been so long that people forgot, but oh well. Anyway, yeah, it's always been there. It's always been multiple islands. It hasn't been just the one.
Why our artists have worked hard to create a mysterious mood. Of course,
well, yeah, okay, I actually agree with that. You've done a fantastic job at establishing a mysterious mood. Now, the problem is, I think it's a little bit too mysterious. I think it's working a little bit too well, because like if you just leave us like this with like just watching gameplay happen, we're to the point where it's confusing. Like we don't even know what's going on. So to a certain extent, yes, it's working, but that's more on the marketing's fault, not their fault. So they're doing a great job at keeping this thing mysterious.
A big new change in Sonic Frontiers is the shift from purely linear levels to a huge open world where Sonic can freely run in any direction. But Sonic Team doesn't like to use the term open world to describe Sonic Frontiers' gameplay, instead referring to its style as being open zone. Open world games like Zelda or other AAA games fundamentally have RPG or adventure worlds. For Sonic, the core here is a 3D action game. Our basic idea was to have that take place in open space. What sets Sonic Frontiers apart is this different approach to an open game world. Having played Sonic Frontiers for about 4 hours, it's easy to see what Iizuka-san means. Sonic Frontiers' open zone design is very different from any other open world I've played. It's a giant playground. Every few feet there's a...
Okay, so it's fundamentally like Super Mario Odyssey then. If it's not exactly like Zelda, then it's Super Mario Odyssey. That's basically an action game. It's not an RPG. It's not an adventure world either. It's basically like sandboxes. It's mini sandboxes, but like divided into worlds. Like you have the new Donk City Kingdom, you have the Luncheon Kingdom, the Seaside Kingdom, like that. It's different worlds, but it's still like basically like a giant sandbox where you can do anything in. And I think they're taking a little bit more liberty with the whole sandbox definition, because this is an island and not necessarily like a small city or something like that. So they're doing multiple giant islands? I don't know, multiple giant open worlds. Maybe it's not that giant like we think it is. If they're describing it like a sandbox, it has to be in that definition of a sandbox. So it's more like Super Mario Odyssey then. So like what I thought it was going to be. I'm definitely interested to see how they handle the whole islands thing. Like they're gonna have different biomes, of course. Like we even see some of them in the actual trailer itself, but I don't know, this is I'm very excited to see what kind of biomes and how they handle each biome and each island differently.
Bumper spring that bounces you like a pinball between 5 other bumpers before putting you on one of the many grindable rail tracks, or a speed ramp that sets you on a completely different path leading to some other collectible or reward, or a line of rings that you can light speed dash into. Essentially,
another thing I've noticed, they're using like the Sonic Team gameplay, or the early build gameplay as we're dubbing it now. I'm guessing they're not allowing them to use their own footage for whatever reason, even though that's pretty dumb. Like, why wouldn't you let us use, like, you can still have the restriction to staying in that area that you showed in the early build section. Nice, Samsung, thank you. But that doesn't mean you have to restrict them to only using you know what this kind of reminds me of? Like the whole Cyberpunk situation, where they weren't allowed to use their footage in in their reviews before the game came out, in their embargo basically. I don't know, that kind of worries me. That's just kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth. I hope I'm wrong, but that's a little bit worrying, not gonna lie. I just hope it's just me overthinking and it's not what I'm thinking it is, like they're trying to hide the unfinished nature of the game. I really hope I'm just overthinking.
Taken that core appeal of every Sonic level having multiple paths that eventually loop back around to the main one, and applied that to these giant non-linear open zones. One thing that has to be noted is that very few of these elements are built into the environmental design, meaning that rails, platforms, boost rings, and so on are just inexplicably floating in the air all around.
Hey, there you go. Thank you, my guy. We weren't crazy when saying that then. I guess even they were like, they're just inexplicably floating there. Like, I mentioned this in the first part, but like, why couldn't they like safely ground them, like put support beams to explain why they're in the sky instead of just having them there? It just looks like they're plopped in there, like if you were using the engine editor and then you just plopped it there. And that's what a lot of people have been saying, and I kind of wish they didn't do that, so people wouldn't look up in the sky and see like giant rails just sticking in there. Like, you have this row of like springs here, like what the hell is that? In the end, I guess it's not gonna matter as long as it's fun, but it's just gonna be a little bit of an eyesore, to be fair. But I just wish they took a little bit more care when they were implementing these things into the open world, so it looks natural, so it looks, you know, incorporated, so it looks nice.
Unusual for a Sonic game, but it feels especially jarring in Frontiers in particular because of the frequent and sudden pop-in of these objects and the otherwise very naturalistic art style.
Okay, so another thing, I know I'm pausing a lot, but if you want to see the video, just go watch it yourself. I'm just talking over this, so my thoughts are in here. I actually like that he's criticizing the game, or, you know, the pre-build basically. I'm so used to IGN just not saying anything negative about a game, or not saying anything at all and just scoring it like a high score. I like that they're actually giving valid criticism here, like we'd said it already.
Of course, it's worth emphasizing that this gameplay and the version that I played were from an early build, but this is definitely an area that I would hope to see improvement in the final version. Beyond that, there are also a wide variety of puzzles and challenges that are littered throughout the zone, and completing them is how you uncover sections of your map. Most of these are very simple, requiring you to orient a statue the correct way, quickly hop back
hey,
and
new
forth
footage.
between colored tiles, or use Sonic's new side loop ability to draw circles around certain objects.
Oh wow, okay, I actually like this one. I actually really like this one. Like, it's actually using the sidestep, like your ability to use the sidestep standing still. That's something that, you know, it's been in past games before, but it's never been used like that. So I'm kind of glad that they're doing stuff like this. Like, it's not all like that big puzzle that they showed here. It's actually more, I hope that there's more stuff like this, but, you know, more expanded, obviously. Like, I get this may be the first area and this is what the first thing you see. So I hope hope there's more stuff like this, but expanded. I think this is a really neat idea. And this is some of the stuff I said in like that first part where they use Sonic's abilities to make interesting puzzles and really challenge the player. I think this is what they should do for the rest of the game.
Loop ability to draw circles around certain objects in the environment to interact with them. The best ones though are the races against the clock where you have to get from point A to point B in a limited amount of time. The openness of Frontier's level design makes straightforward races like these a ton of fun, because you have to try and improvise a path to the end that might not be immediately obvious.
Okay, see, stuff like this is cool, like using Sonic's speed to complement like the openness of the environment to get to a certain goal. Like, I like that. That's a really neat idea. This is stuff like I wanted to see them show, but like I guess they saved it for IGN's hands-on. Why didn't they show stuff like that? That would have given it a way better impression of the game and the puzzles. Like, the puzzles that they showed were kind of brain dead. This is pretty neat ideas, like using Sonic's abilities. That's what fun, engaging design for me is. I just wish they showed it. Why weren't they showing this stuff?
Enemies and mini-bosses using an all-new array of incredibly flashy attacks. It's not all style and no substance though. Sonic is able to quickly dodge using the bumper buttons on the gamepad, and by pressing them together.
The bumper buttons on the What?
Bumper buttons on the gamepad.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was about to say on the D-pad. Why would you put the dodge on the D-pad? I was about to say. But no, this is really neat. Like, they have, like, moves and stuff. Like, they actually expanded the combat. I just wish they didn't show the same combos over and over. Like, I did appreciate them, like, showing us different combos, but I just wish there were more, like, to see if there was, like, a whole combat system. But the impression I got was that, you know, all these moves that we're seeing, this is all like that's basically it. That's like those are the combos that are in the game and you can't expand on it. That's kind of what I got.
Pressing them together, he can even parry attacks with the right timing. His homing attack also feels much more powerful, landing with a ton of impact and keeping Sonic.
What do you mean it feels more? It's always been powerful. What do you mean? Have you played Generations, sir? Excuse me? Like, Unleashed Generations, you felt powerful using the homing attack. Like, that was a 1 KO move, basically. You did that and then they were done, and you felt that, like, impact of hitting the robot. I don't know, I don't think that was ever an issue. Even in Forces, I'll give Forces credit for this. Like, even in Forces, like what you showed there, you could feel that impact when you get to the robots, like them bursting open. Like, sure, they were easy to mow down anyways, but you felt that when you homing attacked. You felt powerful. I don't think that was ever an issue.
One of the things I really appreciate about the combat from what I played is that there are usually multiple ways to deal with specific enemies. Like, take for example this guy, who has an impenetrable shell that he can expand into spinning blades and throw at you. One way to deal with him is just to carefully time your homing attacks so you don't get hit by the blades. But if you do that, the window to damage him is small. To increase that window, you can either parry the blades and knock them away right before they hit you, or you can even use Sonic's side loop ability to encircle the enemy, which causes the shell to go flying upward.
Okay, this was another thing that was discovered apparently. The spin cycle is actually called the side loop, or the cycle loop. I don't know, man. It's something stupid. I really don't like it. I like spin cycle better. It kind of sounds more Sonic-y than what the Cyclops move. I'm gonna start calling the Cyclops move. That sounds more catchy. Why did they name it that? I don't know. It's a little small thing, but I think spin cycle would have fit a little bit better than what they actually chose.
Defeating these enemies will reward you with EXP that you can use to purchase new skills from a skill tree.
Okay, new skills from the skill tree.
Sonic Frontiers a really nice feeling of power progression.
Hey, okay. So, since there's a skill tree, that means that there's going to be more moves, or there's going to be the option to increase the power, or it's going to be, so is it going to be like Unleashed to where you could level up stuff? Or is it just unlocking more moves and stuff so Sonic can use more ways of just defeating an enemy? So there isn't just like 3 combos that you could do. I hope it's more like what I said, like you can unlock more moves so it's more flashy, but I also kind of wanted to get stronger, so I hope there's kind of a little bit of Unleashed DNA there. Not to a certain extent to where they took it, where you needed EXP to get stronger than like in general, but yeah, I feel like that's a good idea. Like if they implement it properly. Like in Unleashed, it kind of felt tacked on, not gonna lie. Like it felt like an afterthought. Like, how do we make the game a little more interesting? Oh, EXP, those darn RPGs are doing pretty good nowadays. Like it felt like more like chasing the trend thing. Like, but if they implement it well here, I think it'll fit better, because you know they're focusing more on combat, and I feel like this combat combat fits more Sonic, you know, modern Sonic.
A relatively short amount of time that I played. Some of the later skills that you can get are just unbelievably cool. And it's super satisfying.
Hey, okay, so you can get more skills. Okay, nice.
Team experiment with different ways that Sonic can attack enemies beyond just spins, jumps, and bumps.
I hope
In addition
so.
to these smaller enemies, there are also a handful of enormous world bosses that I had to contend with. These are near Shadow of the Colossus-esque in their scale, with one in particular against a beast named
Not
Asura,
nearly involved, though.
requiring Sonic to bait the Titan to slam the ground and then boost up its arm in order to reach the weak spots on its head. It's an ambitious boss battle, far beyond anything I've seen in the Sonic series to date.
What?
But it's
Excuse
also
me? This is ambitious for you? What do you call Dark Gaia? What do you call, like, the previous adventure bosses? What the hell is this? This isn't ambitious. Like, compared to past boss battles, this is nothing. I could argue that this isn't real time compared to, like, you know, quick time events in past games, I guess, especially in Unleashed, where some of it would be in quick time events. But this isn't nearly as ambitious from like a scope thing. Like, I don't know, like going up to the weakness and just hitting it, that just seems kind of lame. Like, I think I can argue like putting it in the open world, like there where you could just tackle it at any time, that feels like a way bigger ambition from Sonic Team, like them actually trying to implement it into the actual world. That seems cool. I won't agree that this is the most ambitious they've gotten, because when we get to like the past boss battles, those were way more ambitious and cooler than this. Like, all this guy does is slam the floor and then you have to just boost up and hit the weakness. Like, there's nothing to it.
the game that needs the most. Far too often, I'd fly off the boss's arm without knowing why, or I'd get to the top and for some reason lack the momentum needed to actually reach the head. Sonic must hunt down and defeat these bosses in order to collect portal
What the
gears,
hell was that?
open up portals
Okay.
that lead to bite-sized linear stages.
I like that you can
done in
still
the style
climb
of
it,
previous
but
Sonic
I don't know.
games, giving Sonic Frontiers
Oh, that's
a
cool. You
nice
can
mix
actually
of
walk
both
on here?
old and new styles. These classic levels each come with a handful of optional goals, like beating the level under a certain time, collecting all the red rings, and so on, with each goal rewarding you with a vault key, which are needed to unlock the coveted Chaos Emeralds.
Oh, okay. So wait, okay, so you get vault keys, which is this, and then do you put them in here, and that's how you access the cyberspace levels? And then the cyberspace levels are just like the boost gameplay type of levels, and then that's where you unlock the Chaos Emerald. So essentially they're special stages now. So that's how they work? So I'm guessing that there's only one of those tower. No, there's one over here too in the waterfall. So this isn't the only one in this area. Maybe you have multiple chances of getting this. Maybe if like you fail, this one closes, and then the one by the waterfall, I don't know if it's actually okay. So I found this other one here. So like there's multiple of these in the world. So like, do you have multiple chances of doing this even if you fail one of these, or is this just completely different? It's just like a save point or something like that to where you can just teleport here. I think it's that. I think this is a tower, but what is the tower for then? Maybe it's the towers just for unlocking the map, and then this is how you actually like teleport around, like the mini checkpoints, I guess. Kind of like how Odyssey had multiple flag points across the sandbox. Maybe this is what these are for. And then the giant tower is just for unlocking the map.
Sonic Frontiers is an exciting new step forward for the Sonic series into uncharted territory, and based on my time with it, Sonic Team seems to have hit upon a winning formula. There's certainly still work to be done before it's released during the holiday season. There's a lot of distracting pop-in, there's a fair amount.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that, especially on the pop-in and the other stuff that's just there. I don't know if they're gonna be able to make the holiday deadline. I hope that they can, and the game ends up being a winning thing. But if they can't, just delay it, SEGA. I don't think we're really grasping for straws here. Please, I just want it to be good, man. Please.
Amount of bugs still left to be squashed, and the big boss fights could do with some tweaking. But ultimately, my time with this early build answered the one question I had on my mind. Will Sonic's one-of-a-kind gameplay translate into an open world? The answer is a resounding absolutely.
Hey,
Thanks for
okay.
watching, and tune into...
That's really reassuring to hear. Especially, I don't know. I'm still kind of cautiously optimistic. I way better feelings than when we first started. Oh my god, that first gameplay really screwed things up, man. But it's really nice to hear somebody that's not a Sonic fan saying that, because that means the general public can enjoy this game. So I hope that you know, is true. And I think we can all agree that it needs more polish. I don't think that's even a question. Like, if you look at Halo Infinite, like SEGA, Halo Infinite was about to come out in 2020, but they delayed it another year, like almost a full year. And that came out way better than it would have in 2020. So even if you delay it for like another year, I think we'll be fine. Like, sure, there's gonna be people that complain, and I'm gonna be a little bit sad that we didn't get to get Frontiers this year, but I think it's better for the Sonic brand itself if there's a reassurance of quality. You know, just saying, like, actions speak louder than words, and that goes a long way at reassuring everybody eventually, even if they don't get it in the moment, that you're actually trying to make this game quality. And I hope you still are, even if you don't delay it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're all wrong about this game. I don't know. I'm just worried. Everybody is, even if some people take it way too far, but it's all out of place of concern.
Keep it here on IGN.
Okay, so I think that was it. I hope we get to see more gameplay. I hope it's not just this. I hope we get to see more gameplay, so, you know, we get to see more. It's not just that. I hope we get to see a story trailer, and maybe, look, SEGA, I know you're a little bit apprehensive about this, but maybe release the build as a demo for a limited time. Like I said, you don't even have to release it for like eternity, just for E3, or, you know, the E3 season, since E3's no longer a thing this year. I think that would be I still think that's a good idea. I think that's the best way you can get feedback, not just from critic. You can get it from everybody, other than everybody just seeing gameplay of someone playing and then getting a bad impression of it. I think that's a way better option of distributing things to people. I don't know. That's just me though. But yeah, I think that was pretty nice, hearing more stuff that we actually wanted to hear, like the skill trees and all this stuff. Like, it's really nice. I hope we get to see and hear more stuff about this game, like how it works properly and what the story's about. Like, we got a little bit of it, and I was expecting this stuff in the first two trailers, or the gameplays, basically, just something explained. But yeah, it's nice hearing it. Better late than never, I guess. While we're here, let's segue into the marketing of this game. Sonic Frontiers' marketing has been absolute butt crackers. Now, to get it out of the way, the game looks so much better now, and in terms of the standing it has with the general public and the Sonic fan base itself, it's in a much better place as well, especially in comparison to how it was in the beginning, where people were just pooping on this game for every reason imaginable. And just reflecting on that first showcase, in what world did they think that this first showcase was okay to do when they were trying to impress the general public? Like, this was the first time the game was shown to people, not just the Sonic fan base, and they seriously thought this was a good way to start when it looked so rough. What makes it weirder is the amount of secrecy it had. IGN couldn't say much on it until like the last week of June. Other game journalists were also blocked from saying anything early, and even in its first showcase event during the Summer Games Fest, SEGA employees were literally pulling NFT bro behavior by blocking videos and photos at a very crowded public event. If you seriously wanted to enforce an embargo, have a private room or something, because even with all the attempts to get people to stop making videos near the stations where Sonic Frontiers was at, people still managed to get videos and photos from the cutscenes, new areas, and etc. So it didn't prevent anything, and this was our only access to like information SEGA was withholding, so of course we were gonna analyze it like crazy. And when questioned about all the mess up until that point, Izuka basically said that fans don't yet understand the brand of open zone game that Sonic Team is making. Huh? Gee, I wonder why people don't understand what's going on. It's like you were keeping information hidden from us or something. I think this was my biggest problem with the whole situation. Not necessarily the whole roughness of the showcase. Accidents are bound to happen, so whatever. But the expectation that people were just supposed to be excited from just seeing the game with no idea as to what to expect, or knowing what it's about, or just knowing how it works, is just a little bit stupid, I think. This was just super weird on their part, and while I understand the need to keep things secret for surprises and stuff, it just made me look like I was looking at an Area 51 or something. This is one of the moments where they should have just at least released certain info, like things about combat, how the game works, stuff like that. which to their credit, they eventually did. But I think if we didn't speak up about it, I don't think they would have released any information. I think they would have just showcased the first thing that they showed and kept it as it is. Because they did manage to keep things secret. Like, it's not like it's impossible, because they managed to only show off an area, a small one at that, of the first island. So it's not impossible. They clearly did it. They clearly pulled it off, and we still are lost about this story. So we have an idea as to what's going on, but we're still left in the dark, which is what they wanted to do. And we're not as lost anymore because we have information as to how the game works. And it's not like we don't want to be excited. I just want to understand what I'm looking at and why I should be excited for this game. So I just don't understand why I needed to go down the way it did. Because not only fans doubt, like me, it just soured excitement from the general public as well, which is what they're aiming for. And critics alike. It wasn't just the general public. Critics were just confused as to what the game was trying to do. And this is one of the major portions of the public that they're trying to impress, the actual critics themselves. So if you just start like that, that's gonna be a little bit worrying, because you're aiming to please the critics more so than ever before. So that it just seems kind of a mission failed when that happened. And just the general public, like, you want people like that saw the movie to jump into this game. So there's cross-pollination between the movie, the franchise, and the comics, you know, the rest of the franchise. But you kind of screwed it up the first time. Like, you even had Moist Critical just bashing it. And he's what I would consider a normie, basically, when it comes to Sonic. Like, he's not super involved, but he will play it if he's interested. And that's a whole, like, millions of people that will see that video, and which did see the video where he bashed it, so that's kind of a little bit sad to see.
But even then, you're still fighting them in this blank, empty, garbage open world. Like a generic asset in the Unreal store. There's nothing in here that even looks like it would be a Sonic game, other than the fact that they dumped a Sonic model into it.
But if you read the title, the game really did a complete 180.
This is it! This is happening! This is it!
It's currently going through its redemption arc, with actual information going out from all places. People are getting excited again, and just overall, the mood is so much better than it was before. It's not just the reception that's changed. The marketing is also ramped up. Like I said before, actual information is going out now. We know there's mini bosses across the many islands, a skill tree, how the story's maybe going to shape up, and we even have what looks like the main villain of the game. So things are definitely looking up, and I really hope I don't jinx anything by saying that I'm kind of looking forward to this thing again. I say kinda because, of course, nothing is perfect, and of course, I still have problems with it, like
speeds and grab keys.
But other than that, I'm glad people are excited for this again, and the game is back on track. Now it's on Sonic Team to make sure that they make it to the finish line properly. And with Azuka stating that they're not going to be delaying the game, well, that even implies more so on their end. And you know, as much as I may criticize Sonic or Sonic Team, at the end of the day, I still want them to succeed. And with this turnaround, I feel like they can still do. I really do. So I hope we can get a kick-ass game out of this. And Sonic Team can finally put in the Chow Garden. Come on, man, please, for the love of God.
What's the most common request you get from fans?
Chow Garden?
Is there a Chow Garden in this game?
No.